Errors like that is exactly what you want to avoid in the early game. Building STV is much more important than sending STV to mining, because our early game is not polished. Our decisions later on will be impacted of our early game macro. Look, Zerg has more workers than we do. That's a huge problem. That should never happen. Okay, this I hate. I hate this positioning of the Starboard. This matchup cannot be won without mining gas properly. It's just impossible. Marines are too useless on their own. Having too many Raxes is far better than having too few Raxes. This is something that I repeat over and over to every Terran when I see the situation. Hey guys, today we are gonna take a look on game played by H Mayer. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I'm sorry if I'm not. And this is TVZ, played on the level of about 1300 MMR, so it's E rank. And from what I read already, our Terran has a problem in TVZ in general. But so what he wrote is that, let me pause maybe for a moment and I will read it. I don't quite know if I'm missing something important, if I just lack the multitasking required to do it right, or if I'm focusing on the wrong things. I feel like when Z gets a third, I can't really win anymore, / any damage I do just does not matter a lot. This game I managed to kill his third and got his drones there, but he keeps expanding and I can't keep up with this expo and he just delays me with lurkers under Dark Swarm. Plagues my marines whenever I'm not looking. He just chills and waits for enough gas to run me over with ultras then. The only TBZs I've been winning lately is when Z does some all-in and I punish him for that. When I can bust his Sankens with Turax Akkad Rush or when Z goes crazy Zerg. Okay, let's take a look. So sounds like a problem with mentality first of all, to me, because you should not be scared of third base of Zerg. Like, 2 base Zerg versus, 2 base Terran versus 3 base Zerg is like the completely standard situation. This is what both sides are going for. This is almost guaranteed to happen every game, right? If Terran manages to kill the third of Zerg, usually that means that the game is over very often because Zerg just needs this third base. I wanted to say that you are not mining this mineral, but in the end you did, so it's not that big of a difference. But in general, we should try to send one SCV to each mineral, right? Okay, this is also a little bit too early. You don't need to do that. You can use the same SCV that you're making barracks with to make this depot, but it's kind of whatever, doesn't matter that much. Okay, now we are sending, okay, so we sent to scout. Okay, I guess, yeah, that's right. Usually it's very comfortable to use this STV to actually scout your opponent, that's true. So it was actually fine. Yeah, we're looking for 9 pool, I assume. But the 9 pool would be already missed, because notice how 9 pool usually comes before the second marine is done, right? So if we are checking there, the links would be already going up the ramp right now, because our marine is almost finished, right? I guess it's cross spawn, so it would be a little bit different. Maybe the links, yeah, but I think still links come before the second marine, so yeah, we wouldn't see it. But anyway, now very good tip is that when you are going in to Protoss base, you see that he is making hatchery already in his nut. Then you can look at the timer, in-game timer, so you see that's 256, right? Normally this finishes at 255. That's more or less proper timing for the hatchery to finish in the nut. So you know already that this is not full first because of that. Of course, sometimes you can come earlier and then you can still compare, like it's 2 minutes, so and the hatchery is like halfway down or something, or it's advanced, then you also know that this is not full first. Alright, so this is the first thing that I would be against if I played versus this style of Zerg, because notice how he went 3 hatch, right? Before the gas. So the idea is that right now Zerg will have much stronger economy than in case of 2 hatch Muta. Which then means that he can just put Sunkens if you are gonna rush him with Turex Akkad. and to rush to Raxakat at the same time, you sacrifice a little bit of econ usually. So this is actually not correct to sacrifice NSTVs to accelerate your attack because it won't matter that much. They will just go 3 Sunkens even and it's fine for them. It's expected to go Sunkens if you go 3 Hatch. So yeah, the build choice is not the best, but at the same time, it's not the worst one. You can play like that, it's viable. It's just not optimized, I would say, for the situation. So our CC is almost done, which means for sure we should not start the depot right now, which is okay. But we should start our gas probably. Okay, so errors like that is exactly what you want to avoid in the early game. It might not sound like it's a lot to not make STV for like 5 seconds or something, but it actually is, because if you forget about it 3 times, you are already 1 STV down for no reason. So you're crippling yourself without any interaction with your opponent. The important part is that your early game should really be very polished, because you played every game. 2-3 minutes in every game will be almost exactly the same for any matchup. I mean, for every specific matchup, those 3 minutes will be the same. So you really need to focus at the beginning. Do I have your hotkeys? No, I don't. I mean, in the replay, I cannot check how you hotkey. But for example, in the early game, what I do is I always bind those as CCs to 2 and 3. Because then, even if I am scouting with my SCV, I can tap 2, press S, that's it. I don't need to send the SCV necessarily to mining right away if I'm trying to escape links with my SCV, but I need to build it. Building SCV is much more important than sending SCV to mining. Much more important, because sending SCV to the mineral is like short-term gain, right? If you don't do that for 10 seconds, then what? You lost like 8 minerals. But if you don't make SCV, you will actually cripple your economy till the end of your game, kind of. Okay, he went for some links. That's good. We don't even really need those SCVs here, but it's not that bad as well, because we are just gonna use those to this base, so we didn't lose a lot. But what you can do is to put all your marines on the ramp and only use like 2 links to poke at link, 2 marines to poke at links attacking your CC or something like that. And of course more marines will spawn, so yeah, you don't need them that much, but it's fine. At the same time, it didn't break your game or anything like that. I like the depot. I wanted to mention that, but that's very good that you did it yourself. This depot is extremely important if you're playing this style where you don't go for a wall, because now you can just put 2 marines here, few marines here, and you are kind of walled off, and the links cannot surround your marines. That's very important. Okay, I want to see what you did there. Okay, look, so this is exactly something that you don't want to do that. Maybe in this situation doesn't actually matter that much, because he probably doesn't have speed yet, but in general, Zergs were like quite frequently will go with like 1 or 2 links to harass your mineral line, and then if you move all your marines to this side, they will run in with the rest of the links. And now your ramp is open, you don't have this nice position here, and you might get flooded with links because of that. So instead, just send 2 marines to deal with this one link and leave every other marine in this place. It's much better. Okay, we're going for an Akat, but again, we are missing SCV cycles. So that is already a sign that a lot of your early game can be improved. So I would rather have it queued like you did there than not making them. It's better for sure to queue up and rather than miss SCV cycles. Okay, we go eBay. Another point which is quite important versus 2 hatch muta is, I mean 3 hatch muta. Of course we don't even know whether this is 3 hatch muta. I mean we know this is 3 hatch, but not if this is muta. But you can place your barracks pretty comfortably before the eBay, because you don't need turrets that early, right? Because normally versus 2 hatch you would have to put down turrets in like 30 seconds or something, right? Because it's 504. So in like 30-40 seconds you should be making turrets already. But because this is 3 hatch, every attack, whether lurkers or mutas, will be delayed by 1 minute. So you can comfortably go. By the way, I don't think I mentioned what you should do instead of going to Rex. Just go +1. I think that is much better approach versus 3 hatch muta, which is you go 1 Rex, gas, eBay, right? And this is the way you should approach playing versus 3 hatch in general. Going for this fast upgrade is much better because when muta are coming to you, you already have +1. You don't need range that quickly because there are no mutas that fast. So you can delay your academy because of that. So going for +1 is only benefiting you. Going for 2 ranks acad is just making you cripple your economy a little bit, probably, most of the times, because you should cut a little bit of SCVs when you are going for that. And on top of that, it doesn't give you that much because he will just sunken up, and he can do that. He can sunken up and still make 9 mutas on his timing. So that's why it's not the best approach, but it's, like I said, playable. It's not the reason that you should. Okay, here I don't like this scanner at this particular timing because we had 50 gas. We should make around another round of medics. It would be much better because now we are idling with those structures, right? We are idling with CC. We are idling with our structures. So you see how this is a problem already? Like, because our early game is not polished, our decisions later on will be impacted of our early game macro. So while nowadays I consider like proper unit control to be like very important skill to stay alive with Terran in any matchup pretty much. You cannot change the fact that if you are missing your cycles from your production buildings, especially CCs, the limitation of the units you can produce later on will impact your decisions as well. This is kind of like, I think it's called butterfly effect, where a little thing in the past will impact the future a lot. Like I said, queuing up is okay. I'm fine with that. I do it myself. Should probably not attack that because you saw the links being behind you, and those links like this is probably wasted army. Okay, at least we saved some, I assume, because we will beat those links, so that's good. We still don't know what is the tech, so we have our scanners. We scanned here. Okay, so we need to scan and figure out the tech, because we don't know whether this is muta or lurkers. Can be both, right? Okay, now with 3 racks. Again, we're missing SCVs. Look, Zerk has more workers than we do. That's a huge problem. That should never happen, even if they go 3 hatch. Okay, we see mutas now. Notice how this is very important information as well, right there. Assume that you don't know the timing of the mutas, but when you scan and you see that there are so many eggs on the hatchery, like even if there are 3 not 4, that would be the same situation. It means that he is building the unit from the tech building he built, right? Because he was accumulating larvae to make mutas, because he was waiting. So that's a very good scan here, because you know exactly what to do. So yeah, we make turrets, that's good. We should make also turrets, like 2 turrets over here. Yeah, 2 over here is good. And versus 3 hatch, because Zerg is much higher in economy, his philosophy with mutas changes because of that as well. He doesn't have to do as much damage as with 2 hatch muta. 2 hatch muta is very poor opening economically, and Zerg is kind of obligated to do some damage with it, namely STV damage. But with 3 hatch, he doesn't have to do that. But at the same time, the whole dynamic changes because Terran now has more units, and you can actually stay. You should be able to stay and threaten that you are gonna attack him with your army. So, in fact, even though he's more rich, he'll bring more mutas, doesn't often mean that you need more turrets, because you should be able to defend with your army movement. So let's see how this is gonna go over here. And by the way, we should be starting factory already. Yeah, so like over here. Okay, I don't like this turret. This turret doesn't give you anything. I mean, maybe something in some cases, but in general, the turret should be here because the whole point for this turret is to, first of all, prevent mutas for abusing this area. If they ever fly by those two turrets, you would like to have this one to shoot at them. And the second part is that you generally want this turret to just protect your mineral line. This turret doesn't protect anything. Those turrets are also, I don't like them that much because they are blocking your barrack space. At least you could make one more barracks over here, so those turrets should be maybe even here or here, but I think here it would be good enough. So it's good to plan your barrack positioning ahead of time, right? Because the base layout is very important to have a comfortable game. Yeah, so for example, this factor as well. Like just build it here, because later on probably you will add barracks here. It depends also on on the situation of in the game, because sometimes you would make your barracks like here, but sometimes if this, especially after muta phase, you will build them over there, right? So, but if there are still mutas and you want to add barracks, you would probably, your first choice is here, then second here, and sixth barrack is kind of like there is no safe space, so you would like it to be here, like behind the turret, because otherwise mutas can come and just snipe your SCVs. But that's a detail, let's say, but it's good to take it under consideration. Yeah, so what I don't like over here, two things I don't like. Maybe actually even three. First of all, I don't like those fireballs. They were not needed at all. Even before, we don't need fireballs to defend from links, usually. It would really have to be muscling to get fireballs, to make them worth their gas price, their build time. It's better to just make more marines and medics. The second point is exactly about medics. So we only have two medics. That's not enough to heal all those marines, which is a problem. We should immediately build like three more even. To go up to five or even six is fine. Generally, when you are approaching two groups of marines, you should have six medics. That's much better. And the third thing is that we are not defending with our army movement. So we are passively defending from the mutas when we don't really have to. Like, because if we go, he has to respect our move out. Unless you have some information and I missed that he was making a lot of links. Yeah, but this is definitely late. So I can already tell you that because we missed those STV cycles before, we have delayed factory, for example, right? Because we would be able to. Okay, so this I hate. I hate this positioning of the starboard. If you were to learn anything from this video, then it will be this: don't make your starports or any other building, in fact, except maybe depots, because sometimes you cannot place them anywhere, in a way that mutas can just come and harass your SCVs and kill them and delay the starports in the end. Because this is exactly what you don't want. I hate that, because now he can delay this forever, and you would actually have to come back and protect your starports from being harassed. The starport place is here. Look at this triangle you create with turrets. You have your main base, then usually it goes to your ramp, and from ramp it goes to your nut. And in this triangle you have your safe space over here. And this is where your tech building should go. Exactly there. Nowhere else. This is the only spot that is good for forts. Okay, we are pushing out. We scanned for bases, which is fine, but our first scan should be here. And check whether he's already making lurkers, for example, or not. Okay, that is very sloppy as well. We should be in one big ball versus mutas. Maybe he also made a mistake, lost a couple mutas, so it was a trade, I guess. And now we are fighting time, right? Sometimes we can actually be in time. Like, very good Zerg would never allow us to walk this comfortably towards his base. He would be harassing us from the behind, and then we have to stop every now and then. And okay, but this Zerg didn't do that. So I guess this is the moment, right? We will manage to kill this. Now we know he has Hive, because Knight is already morphing. Which is normal. 3Hatch Muta actually has pretty good Hive timing. And the filer timing. Usually about like 11th minute. You can expect the filers already. Okay, so what are we doing in our base. We have our E-base. Yeah, I immediately felt that we are not mining gas when I looked at the numbers. Yeah, so that's a huge mistake, right? We need to mine gas with all three STVs. This matchup cannot be won without mining gas properly. It's just impossible. Marines are too useless on their own. The funny part is that we don't need to move from here, to be fair. We can stay there forever. He will have to take this base eventually, and then he will come to us to fight this group. We can use just another group from our main. Just build medics, right? This is also something that you should plan ahead. You need to build medics like before you need them, kind of. Right? When you want to go out, you already have to have them. Yeah, so we lost this army for free, pretty much. So we only saved the medics. That's why I said staying here is superior in this situation. And look at our minerals. So we only have 4 Raxes and almost 2k. So the play right now is to make 2 vessels, start your upgrades, which you already did, so that's good. So just make vessels. I'm not sure if we have Irradiate already, probably not. Then we also need to make Irradiate. Tanks are pretty useless at this point because he already have Hive, so this means that the fighters are gonna be there very soon. So we shouldn't make tanks at all. What we should do is to queue up 5 units in every barracks, literally just queue up 5 units, because if you have troubles macroing, then there is no reason to just not do that. That gives you time to actually operate your army. Then you will still have leftover minerals. And then you add like 4 more Raxes. So you 4 STVs, you right click them there, then you do something on the map, something else, and then you come back in a moment and they will be there waiting for you, and then you drop down for barracks. We just need to keep this money down. This is our priority. Okay, so you actually queued up, you actually made vessels, and now please add barracks. You're probably not gonna do that. Yeah, so I mean, okay, you did this. You did what I said. So that's very good. Now make them. Okay, I consider this a good thing. So I'm glad that this happened. The only bad thing about it is that it happened late, but it's better than never. So I'm glad that you think about it. Next time, just do it quicker. Like the first moment you see the minerals going so high, just immediately start doing this. I would only add to that having too many Raxes is far better than having too few Raxes. So it's better to have 10 rather than 7. Because on 7 you will still have a lot of money left over. On 10, you might still have money left over, but if you want, then like whatever, you lost maybe 150 because 9 is still good, or 8. So the mineral loss on making structures is not that bad. It's important to not let money get this high. The game plan for now, by the way. The problem is that we have those tanks, which, I mean, this is not a problem in itself that we have tanks, but he will have the filers almost for sure, so they will be pretty useless. So this is wasted gas, pretty much, right here. And we don't like to waste gas in this matchup because we need a lot of vessels and upgrades. So it's much better to bank it and use on something else. But another point is that you know that Zerg has to have third base to play the game. So 2 bases versus 3 is kind of equal for both sides. Even Terran has some advantage, I would consider, because you will be having enough to contain Zerg on 3 bases. Soft contain, of course. And then he has to fight with swarms, with plague, but you generally have the map control. And he cannot like easily overcome your 2 groups in 2 different sides. So because of that, you should know that he will try to take his base for all costs, so you need to scout the map. So we should have STVs running or Marines running on the map. And also to the corner. Okay, we're trying to find the filer. Which, we got one, that's good. Yeah, so this is exactly why... Oh, wait. So this is exactly why tanks are not good, because now you will lose them for free. You could unsiege and move, but that's a lot of hassle to do that. Okay, that's good, actually. And come on, now we should kill this. By the way, seeing this already tells you that he has expansion somewhere, right? He has to have expansion if he has Nidus. It's pretty rare that Zerg would build that and just wait for another expo. By the way, it wouldn't even be that bad to build it and wait for expansion to build, but usually they won't do that. So, okay, this looks very good. Okay, so now we see the units going from this Nidus. Wait, he just moved past you. Okay, and now this is something that I repeat over and over to every Terran when I see the situation. You should be obsessed about killing the Nidus. Killing the Nidus is very often just game over for Zerg because he cannot reinforce anymore. And then you can even take your another group and go to his third base, which you should know where it is by now. And then he cannot reinforce from the main to this base in a moment. So you should be obsessed about killing this. Not drones. Drones don't kind of matter. I mean, they do, of course. You would like to kill them, but the Nidus is almost #1 priority. And now you won't kill anything. You killed few drones, but he has those lurkers here, and it's very annoying. Maybe you would be able to kill the hatchery, but even killing the hatchery is not that important over here, ironically. Because this is still the safe space for him, so he will rebuild it. Of course, it's good to kill it, because it gives you more resources advantage, but if Zerg has enough, then he will just defend forever. Okay, now we have 3k, so this is what I said earlier, right? We have not enough barracks to produce. We should be able to, like, we should have 10 barracks right now, literally, and just mass produce from it. So I would say so far this game is not about any decision making or control mistakes. It's purely about macro. So the first thing was that we missed a lot of production right at the beginning from the barracks as well. Now we are having 3k. Now I see this transfer, and guess what? We left 3 minerals mining in our main. So I don't know what's up with that. By the way, 46 STVs for 3 bases is not enough, and we can see that exactly over here. Like, sure, we have new base, that's good, but it's like we had 2 bases because we have no STVs mining this area. So that's weird. Like, when you are transferring units like that, you should be mindful of this. Just be mindful. Okay, and now he has all those bases. Yeah, so this is what 3H Zerg can do because they have a lot of minerals. They can expand like that. But that's entirely your fault. First of all, we should stay with those marines, right? Then, even when we didn't, we should still send STVs all over the map and look for expansions. But now, you are looking for those expansions like this is already, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes too late. And now we are in this situation where, in fact, he is gonna make a lot of ultra risks, and this will be hard to deal with. Because the problem in ultras is not even like any strategical part about them. It's just that they are so easy to control, and you can literally throw like 3-4 ultras, and that will be completely fine to overcome most of Terran's army, bio army. I mean, now we are sending those groups. I guess we are looking for more, but we have pretty much right now we have kind of 4 targets, right? We have this area, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this area and this area can be attacked with dropships, and this can be attacked like frontally. So all you can pretty much do right now is first of all be almost maxed, because look, we have 4.5k minerals, which means we should be able to produce 90 more marines from right now. So we would be maxed. That's the first point. So our macro is completely out of like shape, I would say, right? You would have another group like that, but over here. And then what is happening actually, this base is kind of annoying that he has it, but generally what I mean is that you can soft contain both sides of the map, because usually the scenario is that he doesn't have this, he has this and this, right? So this is like the usual scenario. Then you soft contain. By soft contain, I mean you stand with army and you don't let like links, ultras, or anything go on the map. Of course, this is not like a contain or hard contain, because he can put a swarm and you have to go back, but it's still additional effort for him. By not having any army here, he can just counter. So what can happen now, because we are here, but we cannot really do anything, right? Because we cannot go through swarms. He can just send units to our expansions from his net. That's very good that we did that. That's super good. Yeah, so now, because you kill this, we should go to this default plan, right? So we go with one big group here and one big group here. And of course, we should keep expanding, by the way. That's another point, very important point about being maxed, because while Marines in themselves are pretty useless, so it doesn't matter if you have like 100 Marines or 50 Marines. It won't give you any bigger value in one army, but because you can control more areas because of those Marines. So that's a very important part about having them. So, for example, in this case, what you could do is to take a group of, like, for example, 12 Marines, few medics, put them in on the ramp and just take your corner, and this completely changes the whole dynamic in the matchup, because now the problem is that Zer can always go and attack your this base, for example, and those bunkers of course won't be enough to stop him, and then you have to come back and defend and use your army defensively. What you would like to do in TVZ is to put constant pressure, so you don't want to defend ever, you always want to attack. But now we don't even contain him. The point about the corner, I will go back to that yet. That if you have the corner and those marines here, your base is almost defended. Like Zerg has to have really a lot of army to go past the marine ball on the ramp. That that has to be some like big amount of ultras and links. And on top of that, on those corners, you can build like 2 factories and just produce tanks. That's also very powerful, because this gives you like excellent transition to the late game. And this base like that is basic invincible, and if you gather like 8 tanks or something, you can take this base as well. It's a consequence of having such strong defense over here. But it all comes down to having those marines, right? Because you have to have something to protect this base in the first place. And to have marines, you have to spend your money, and so on and so on. And this is like, yeah, just simple macro issue. So this is exactly what I said before. You cannot make good decisions because you didn't have good macro. Yeah, and now of course Zerg has a very simple play, right? Because he will just make ultras and send them on A move. Yeah, exactly. So this is what I meant, right? We never contained this with strong enough force to stop him, and he can freely move on the map. And by the way, if you had 60 Marines, let's say, and he didn't have the Defiler, because of course with Defiler it's gonna be different. But if you had 60 Marines over here, you still defend this probably, right? Like Marines scale very well with numbers, because they should, while Ultras are and Links are melee. So the smaller the fight, it's better for melee units. The bigger the armies, the better it is for range units. That's why Terran usually scales very well with numbers. And yeah, but yeah, this is exactly the problem. Let's summarize this in a way that you can know what to work on. So first thing is this early game polish. You really need to be on top of your build and production. There can be no pauses in your CC. There can be no pauses in your praxis unless this is a part of the build. So for example, you can stop STV production or marine production to put down the CC. That's okay, but that has to be conscious decision. This cannot be happening randomly. So that's the first point. This is the most important thing. The second, spend your money. If you are not spending your money, you are not gonna win any game. I mean, because your opponent can also not spend money. But what I mean is that you cannot fix your macro with decision making. That's impossible. It's possibly the other way around, by the way. If you have bad decision making but excellent macro, you can still win. But it's very rarely the other way around. You just need units to do anything in this game. I would advise very strongly to overproduce your production buildings. Just make more than you can handle. in theory, right? So for example, usually it's 8 barracks and 2 ports for Terran on 2 bases, but make 10 barracks. It doesn't matter. You never went down below like 1k. So having those additional access wouldn't hurt you. They would be actually pretty helpful. Another thing, you should never have this much gas in any matchup ever, to be fair, but especially in TVZ. In TVZ, Terran has such good units to support your late game that you should never have this much, because you should try to find a way to get those units, because you want those gas units. They are better than Marines, so why wouldn't you do that, right? And for example, BCs are great for spending your money, because you can go for third port, make 3 BCs, and boom, suddenly you are 1.2k minerals down for very powerful units that can swing the game on their own. If this happens that you have less minerals than gas, then make vessels, because vessels are more expensive in gas, right? So that's a great way to spend your gas. If you have more bases, for example, especially the corner ones, the tanks are a great choice, because then you can defend those bases with them forever. Basically, they are unkillable, even with Swarm. That's very hard to kill them. But, of course, the core army will be always Marines if you're playing a scale style. By the way, those are not good upgrades for this moment in the game, but they didn't matter that much in this game. You need you need Marines to control areas. That's the main point. Of course, you want to pressure Zerg as much as you can, but sometimes when their solid is pretty the defense is pretty solid, you won't be able to actually make a lot of damage, but you can always stay somewhere and control this area. Mainly, usually, it is in front of their third and fourth, in front of their nut, protecting your corners, protecting your 12 o'clock even. Why not? You can put 12 marines there, it doesn't hurt. If you are like at 180 supply, you will have so many marines that you can do like multiple things, multiple good things with them. You can even put like I don't know, 4 or 5 marines in every expansion if you have a lot of them, and he will have trouble staking them, because now he has to like send a group of units to deal with them, right? So of course it's not like a big deal for Zerg to kill 5 marines, but it's the idea that you need to control those areas. The moment in the late game your minimap is black, you don't see anything, this is the moment you will probably lose regardless of what you do, because ultras are so fast, they can hit multiple locations and your army is slow to react, so usually it means you will also lose the expo and so on. I think those are the most important points. Polish your builds, spend your money, and control good areas in TVZ. Yeah, I think that's the most important lessons from this game. Okay, thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.